endlessly searching for an original sin.
Hey there guys, with the spooky season here, it's time for the waifu shirt to be retired, and now we have a new limited edition item, one of our nicest, a poster, a special Halloween poster featuring almost every character in our comic with some fantastic horror icons. So you can pick it up exclusively in our store, or if you guys want, through the Patreon, but I'd say get it through the store. Look at how nice this is. I actually have a copy myself, and it's really good. And if that's not your style, we also have cute little stickers. We have the comic book itself, at least issue 1, and more coming. So guys, check out our shop for lots of great things, and let's get back to the game. Hello everybody, and welcome back to the mansion. Well, I mean, there is a mansion. This is the letter. And we didn't get a good ending for Becca last time, so let's see if there's any saving her. If there's one, it's out of this room, out of this place, as far away as anyone can get from her. I can think about the rest of what I can do after I'm outside, when there are other people I can ask for help. When she's not chasing after me like this, and there's no hesitation in my step as I race for the restricted section's door, head downstairs and barrel straight for the library's exit. Towards safety, in a desperate bid for my life. Library rules be damned. I can no longer hear her behind me, but I'm not taking any chances. A breath almost escapes me as I near the door. A little more. When I'm out of nowhere, a library cart careens from a blind corner and slams my sides. My back hits the floor with a hard thud. The impact completely knocks the breath out of me. The copper tang of blood gradually spreads over my tongue as I fight to get my bearings back. I force myself to move, even with the excruciating pain coursing through my limbs. The exit's almost there. If only I can. But there's no moment's respite. The next thing I know, there's a heavy weight atop of me. A cold digit slides around my neck, tight like a vice, pressing, closing in, leaving me gasping for air. Through my blurred vision, I can only make out the hateful gleam, the spite in her eyes as she looms over my body, and her grip on my throat grows tighter. Desperation kicks in. My nails dig into her wrist as I struggle against her firm grip, trying to pry her fingers away.
Let go! Let me go!
Alright, let's see if I can do this. One moment, everyone. Wow, this is a little janky. I kinda got this. I don't think twice. My limbs are moving on their own before what I did could fully register in my brain and my lungs could recover. Behind me, she lets out a cry, sharp, loud, thunderous, against the empty walls of the library. But the fear her wails bring compares nothing to the relief washing over me when I finally make it out. My knees buckle as soon as my feet hits the pavement, its surface cold and hard against my skin. Really quick, it looks like we've gotten her to survive. I've only been in there for a few hours, about 1 or 2 probably. I don't know anymore. It feels like an eternity all the same. My breath hasn't slowed down yet, and I don't expect it to after going through that. I probably look the most undignified creature on a Sunday morning right now. Out of breath, disheveled, slumped here with a bloodied up lip and all. But at present, I simply can't bring myself to care, even when a few passerbys give me a strange look. Stare at me all you want. I don't give two I don't give a single shite. I'm alive. I'm safe. This isn't the end yet, but I'm safe. And inside my bag is something that could get us out of this mess. Nothing definite yet. I don't want to get my hopes up, but it's still something. If Isabella's here, I'm sure she'll feel the same. She'll even be the first one who will put her faith on it. Wherever this will lead us is a victory on its own. Now, all that's left is to find the others, the rest of us trapped in this bloody nightmare. Right on cue, as if the answer to my previous thought, my mobile phone lets out a beep. I pick up, simply hoping it'll be one of them. Only it's a voicemail that greets me. From Ashton. There's a pang of disappointment, of course, but it brings some reassurance that nothing happened to at least one of them.
Hey, Becca, call me back when you're free. We need to talk. ASAP.
He ends it right there. The message, less than a minute long, curt and gives nothing away. I let it ease my worries, regardless, and do as he asks. Because this, too, is another triumph for us. One less thing to worry about. We live! So yeah, we're gonna keep going with this one. Sorry guys, although I am curious if you end up seeing her body splattered on the ground, so I'm probably going to off-screen look at that. You know what? Be right back. Nah, because I can't just load in and stuff like that, which is kinda sucky. There's always such a hassle and so much time off my day, prior plans and commitments cancelled, all for the sake of playing along with others.
Welcome everyone.
I hated them even as a child.
Please make yourselves at home.
But Mom often insisted. She'd slick my hair back, put me in one of those stuffy dinner jackets, and if there were any children around, urge me to make friends. Never mind how utterly loud or tedious it was. It was all for the sake of keeping up appearances. To some extent, lies have already surrounded me, long before I've chosen what I wanted to do in my life. Luckily, there were easy ways to tune everything out, and much to my mom's frustration, I always managed to sneak my CD player along. I kept to myself and to my music, had my own little worlds, until I learned to observe. It's a simple matter of awareness, really. And for someone with keen eyes, a skewed necktie or a simple flick of the wrist could tell volumes about a person. I still don't like parties, especially ones as big and fancy as the Wrights' housewarming. However, when there's actual reason to go to them, I figure, they're not too bad.
Be careful with Shirley, alright?
Besides, like it or not, it's all part of the job. I'm here on a mission. One that has the name of Luke Wright plastered all over it. You'd think the man would want to remain inconspicuous after his name was linked to several high-profile crimes across Luxbourne. Granted, most of it has gone cold over the years, having stagnated without any lead or evidence, but that still doesn't make him any less suspicious. Yet, here he is, throwing a party in his own backyard. Although, having observed the man this past year, I'm not even shocked. He craves it, the damn spotlight, constantly yearns for attention like a neglected puppy. It doesn't take a genius to figure out why he's nowhere to be found at his own party. But that's not the problem here. What pisses me off is how far his reach extends, how close he has creeped into the lives of the people I care about. Again, like a stubborn itch you can't get rid of. First Professor Clark, then there's Isabella. I also spotted Z-Man here a while ago, and now there's also Rebecca. Apparently...
Ashton?
Becca, what are you doing here?
I was invited.
Really? I had no idea you were friends with the host.
That explains things and makes this difficult all the same. As if getting a contact among the staff to sneak a name into the guest list isn't hard enough. The guy almost ditched me last night and might have placed another setback on my investigation if it wasn't for my genuine tip. Then here comes Rebecca, another person to mind.
Well, it's my parents, actually. But that's beside the point. What are you doing here? You hate parties.
I still do. I'm just here on behalf of a friend.
Unnecessary lie. I can't bring my own friends into this any further than what they've found themselves in. Because if Luke Wright so much as harms a hair on either Zach or Rebecca's heads, there will be hell to pay. Worrying about Isabella's brief dealings with him is stress in itself already. I doubt he'll attempt anything in front of other people, though. It would tarnish his glorious reputation, and he values appearances among more than anything. That doesn't necessarily mean he isn't capable of it, more than in fact, and on the off chance he does something, I wouldn't be responsible for my actions.
That's rare. Do you have someone with you then?
Nope, just me. I won't be staying long.
Well, if that's the case, maybe you and I can...
For Zach and Rebecca's sake, however, I really hope this is simply be another housewarming. Even though something tells me it's anything but. Call it a detective's intuition or whatever. When Luke Wright's involved, nothing good has ever come out of it. Can't let my guard down here. Even more so when a familiar car slows to a stop and out comes...
Chief?
My presence here might be odd at best, but I have an excuse. One is this man handed to me himself a year ago, along with a heavy dose of flattery for the newly promoted detective inspector. Can't exactly say the same for my good old boss, can I? Although, to see him here, chatting up with Luxborn's rich and famous, isn't such a big surprise in itself. No disrespect meant, but the guy is obviously a social climber. What is surprising is the fact that he seems all too eager to mingle with a person of interest's wife. Just what the hell is he doing here?
Ashton, what's...
Sorry, Becca. I need to... There's something I need to check for a bit. I'll talk to you later. Do you have a ride home?
No, I had to take a cab here. My car wouldn't start this afternoon. But what about...
What the shit is going on here?
I told you to get that old thing checked before, didn't I? You can head back with me after this. Anyway, I gotta go. See ya. Be careful, okay?
Hey, be careful! About what exact...
I don't want to draw attention to myself either. At least not until he's given me proper reason to spoil his little party.
Thank you for the invite, Anna. Husband still missing, I see.
I should be saying the same of your darling Rochelle, Lee. The doctors again?
For now, the best I can do is wait and remain inconspicuous, especially with Chief here, whose motives are dubious at best. If it means having to pretend I don't know Zach or Rebecca, or forcing myself to rub elbows with people I barely know, let alone like, then so be it. I can't involve anyone. Wandering is out of the question as well, when there are guards in civvies stationed here and there. Sure, getting past them is something I could do with ease, but I'd rather not right now, when I'm the one of the few snooping and roaming about. It'd be best to try and do so once there's a crowd of people. And if there's interior designers' drunk claims are to be believed.
Yes, well, what about Luke? Should we file a missing persons report now, or do you want to wait 24 hours?
He's around.
You know, I can tell if someone's bluffing.
Whoop, wrong button. It'll all come down to how well I'll play my cards tonight. With a good hand, this party is going to give me the breakthrough I need to crack Luke Wright, or something to prove my suspicions wrong. Maybe find what kind of game my boss is also playing. I've had the inkling before, a few hunches tempered down by how much of a bumbling fool the man appears. Oop. But one does not simply deal with the rights and get involved to a party they host without wanting anything from either of the two. Or it's the other way around. So, with a last wary glance at the two, I head into the ballroom. I just hope this will not complicate things further. Shit. By the time the party's in full swing, the night has fallen, yet there still isn't a Luke Wright in sight. The man can be quite ostentatious, but this, frankly, I'm impressed. I don't even know how many hors d'oeuvres I probably said that wrong. I've already stuffed in my face. One too many, probably. The servers are already giving me the stink eye every time I saunter over to the buffet. Blame your employer, not me. He's the one who has the guts to show up late. Besides, most of the guest idle talk is concentrated in this area, despite standing under the same roof with the very people they're whispering about. Some just couldn't resist. I might as well keep an ear out for any useful info.
Is Suarez still fixing that tech problem? Tech problem?
It's been 3 years. Sooner or later, the Blighter will put 2 and 2 together.
He might have already.
If the red tape I'm being slammed with these past few months suggests anything, that or someone has been pulling the strings. I wouldn't be shocked. This case would not have gone this long if Scumbag didn't have a mule of some kind in the force.
Shush you, we all know Suarez just wants an out.
I knew he was bad news the day the merger with Evans Incorporated happened. Feh.
Glad I did not have to deal with that. But keep it down, someone might hear. The wife especially.
This kind of negligence has always been an advantage, but sometimes I wish I could be smashed drunk while doing this. Having sharp ears also means you get to hear the most unsavory things. Who cheated on who this week? One person's motive for bashing someone's skull against the wall, or a father's excuse for burning his own daughter alive, that sort of stuff. After a few years, it gets tiring and you get desensitized to it all. But humans could also be downright awful. Sometimes there simply isn't enough brain bleach in the world. Sadly, the wine is a no-go tonight, and mostly for show. I'm up for another drive later, for one I definitely want to be sober in case anything comes up. And something always comes up in assignments like this. A detective inspector dying of cardiac arrest, for example. Because I can feel the moment my heart grinds to a halt the second I shift my eyes to the corner of the ballroom.
Hannah Wright.
Some will say I'm acting touch bit paranoid, and maybe I am. This is a party and she's the hostess. It goes to say that she'd take time to mingle with her guests. But Hannah Wright, nee Evans, isn't without her fair share of accolades. At least to the public, she doesn't seem like it. Unlike her husband, she's one of the business sense, not to mention the impressive track record needed to manage a company. Or effectively hide whatever irregularities there might be. She's clean as far as my agents and I have found, but it doesn't rule out the possibility involved with whatever her husband's up to. Hell, Luke Wright came out clean in previous reports until I bothered to take a deep look into it. What I found may not be sufficient to bring anyone on to trial yet, but it's enough to nurture suspicion. Or neuter 'em, that works too. This may be a bit of an overreaction, but no one lasts long in my line of work being careless.
You would catch his eye a lot better if you wore nicer clothes, don't you think?
Didn't realize the housewarming was going to be this fancy. I would have gone with a nice dress if I knew.
Nothing to be worried about then. She's probably even more careful with appearances than her own husband, having grown up with the spotlight focused on her. Yet, even knowing that, the anxiety stays, has been here since the party started. I brushed it off earlier. Who wouldn't feel edgy, right? I've gone undercover in a party hosted by the very person I'm investigating. That in itself is risky and has plenty of rooms for error. Usually, though, the tension passes around the first half hour or so. I've been trained to remain composed in situations like this. However, with each second I spend here, it only grows heavier and seeks to overwhelm. An odd feeling that someone is watching me instead. It has been like this since last week, but I should already be used to it. People would be looking at me, no matter how small or big of a blip I am on their radar. That's what they do in these things. But when the feeling of eyes burning into my back lingers longer than necessary, I've been looking around every now and then to catch the culprit. No luck. And despite my efforts to push the sensation as far down as I could, tiny pinpricks continue to sting the back of my head and the ghost of cold touch creeps up my limbs, until my gaze switches back to Rebecca and Hannah Wright. She stands there, dark-haired and dirty, sticking out like a sore thumb. Even so, no one seems to notice. Although she's looking away from me, her mere existence here strikes, disturbs. A sense of tunnel vision binds while I stand stock still and gape at her, like my life depends on making sure she stays where she is. I feel trapped in her presence until another guest bump into me, yanking me out of my stupor. Only then do I realize that I've been holding my breath. Before I could figure out what happened, she's gone. A quick scan of the room yields no sign of her. The party continues as if nothing's amiss. I'm not really one to judge, but I'm sure someone like that would not have been allowed in a fancy thing like this. What has security been doing? Are they really that incompetent for someone so distinct to easily get in without notice? There should have been an outcry by now, particularly from the host. She's been standing almost an arm's length away from the woman, and yet she simply continues her talk with Rebecca.
Oh, the professor! And your little Becky!
My parents couldn't make it since they're in Scotland right now. And Mom says hi, by the way.
Is there something in the food then? That I'm starting to see things. I couldn't have been the wine, though. I'm every bit as sober as when I first stepped out of my car. The hors d'oeuvres? It's hors d'oeuvres. God, I can't read. But why would anyone want to do that? Why would Luke Wright want to do that? He's fishy, but I can't see why he'd ever think it'd be a good idea to lace the food he'd served in his party with someone like Chief Lee on his guest list to boot. He has been linked to narcotics trade, yep. However, that kind of tactic is below him. That much I can tell. Unless there's a mass murder waiting to happen here tonight, which I highly doubt. So,
What the fuck was that?
but there's no time to look deeper into this, even if I wanted to. Not when the telling silence comes upon the room and draws everybody's attention to the main doors of the ballroom.
About damn time.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Enjoying the party? I hope I'm not too late in welcoming you all to the Wright Mansion.
I've been tailing this guy for a while now. Before that, I heard stories from previous officers who tackled this case, none of which were pleasant. Mind, I'm not counting the incident with Professor Clark yet. Pleasant is glossing over the gravity of it. While Wright's good at covering whatever shady stuff he's doing, he's shown to be a really rotten guy. At least, that's the case when he thinks none of his peers are around to judge him. I've lost track of how many counts of verbal abuse and harassment cases the guy could be pinned with. Fuck, he even tried to make a move on Isabella back in the open house, right in front of his wife. Standing in the same room as him doesn't make me want to punch the guy any less. Actually, the urge is stronger, but protocol, in my case, First and foremost, my opinion of the man shouldn't get ahead of my purpose here. If I want to put him in his place, it should be in a court with all proper charges filed against him. And I'll only be able to do that once I gather enough evidence to pin this bastard down.
Welcome one and all to our humble abode. Tonight, if you have yet to find yourself in your roles, you are our ladies and lords of the court of your king and queen, if you would excuse my presumptuousness. So, enjoy the feast that has been laid out for your senses as we only allowed the best to be served. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone!
Suppressing my annoyance, I prepare to step away from the crowd. Amidst the cheers and claps, now is a good time as any to move. Try to find that something that the McCullough woman talked about. In the first place, I have no plans to actually shake hands with the slimeball himself. A fake smile is plastered on my face while I pretend to listen to one of the other guests gossip about him, all while slowly inching out of the ballroom. Unfortunately, before I could get any further...
Are you feeling ill, Rochelle? Perhaps you need to sit down and...
Rich people only have two ways to resolve their messes. Either they quietly deal with it behind closed doors, or they create an even greater problem out of it, and it just blows up in everybody's faces one way or another. Fun.
No! Shut it, you monster! I ain't talking to you! I'm talking to this scumbag over here! You bloody bastard standing there with your smarmy smile!
Not even a few seconds in, and this is already proving itself to be a big public spectacle. Why spend money on a television to buy daytime soap operas? You could just go to one of these parties and see the action unfold in real life. And you get free food too. Really, if I were an actual guest, I'd just take this as some sordid form of amusement.
Watch your tongue! You're on thin ice, Rochelle. Where's your husband? Who even invited you?
But I'm not a guest who's here for a good time. I need to focus on him, even through this whole sorry tale. So I wait, I listen, I observe. Interesting, isn't it, though? That the chief's inspector's wife... Alright, guys. That's where we're gonna actually end it right now, because I have to get going to do a couple of things. So, thank you all for joining me, and I hope you guys enjoy the other series on my channel. Also, check out my other channel, Sinfully Pure, where the archives from my live streams go, as well as the Demon Slayer video finally being allowed to go up. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.